G'day, I'm Patrick from Douglas Fur Design. Welcome to the Router Bits. In a previous video, I compared two basic entry-level router tables, and I wanted to actually have a look at one of the more high-end router tables and just see, what's the difference, what are you getting, and how does that affect the kind of work that you can do on a more expensive table. I think there are four really key areas that you can improve a basic router table like this. So the first one is the table itself, moving from MDF to cast iron. The second thing is improving the extraction. Now, there's two parts to that. You need extraction coming out of the back of the fence, and you also need extraction coming from below the motor body, which means enclosing the body from below. The third thing is getting better micro adjustment on the fence itself. And the fourth thing is having a method of easily raising and lowering your router with really accurate measurements. So I'll look at some of the finer details of all of those points, but all of those things you can get in this more advanced router table here. Arguably, one of the most important pieces of your router table is obviously the router tabletop itself. Now, the more basic router tables are generally MDF with like a melamine coating that keeps them nice and slippery, but you pay a bit more and you move into a higher end router table and you get cast iron. Now, you're not going to find any serious woodworking tools that don't have a cast iron surface. So you think about a good table saw, a good drill press, a good bandsaw, they're all using a cast iron top. And the reason for that is they're stable and solid, they're not going to bow or deform, and you've got just a lifetime of good workability on that surface. MDF and melamine, they are nice and slippery, so you don't have a ton of friction when you're working on them. They just are not as durable, unfortunately. Over time, moisture in the air will change the density of melamine, so you might have some parts that swell or, amounts of movement in the tabletop itself, which means it's not flat. Also, I have used a melamine table when I started out, and you end up chipping it in bits and pieces in places where you've got a sharp thing that comes over the edge. Eventually it just gets beaten up. So a cast iron table, it's really hard to damage them without dropping the entire thing. In comparing these two tables, they're roughly the same size, they both have the accessory tracks. The difference is just the durability and the flatness of a cast iron table, which gives you better performance. So, you pay more for it, but it just improves the performance of the whole tool over a really long period of time. And, if you're getting a lot of use out of it, it's well worth it. Another really important feature, if you're doing a lot of routing on your table and you want really high performance, is really good dust extraction. And because of the nature of a router table, that means that you need to be able to pull dust from behind the fence as well as down around the motor body itself. The only way to do that down around the motor body is to fully enclose that area. So, a high-end router table needs some sort of enclosure around the motor body, usually a metal box that can trap the air, and then you can extract that entire area. What this means is that all of the bits, all the dust and chips that you're pulling off the timber is staying away from where the work is actually being performed. It's being pulled away from the fence and the other reference surfaces like the top of the table, so that you don't get bits and pieces in there that make things less accurate or stop your piece being able to sit flat against the fence. It takes dust away from the motor body itself, so it all keeps cool. It also means that you're pulling chips out from whatever cut that you're trying to make with your router bit. So it is really important. In this particular table, like I said, you've got a metal box that traps the air. You've also got an attachment that goes behind the fence itself, and that's a really effective place to pull dust away from the cuts. So it's all connected up using a hose on the back so that you only have to attach your extractor to one location, which is on that metal box, and it automatically extracts from behind the fence and under the motor body itself. It's a really good system actually. My router with this setup is one of the best extracted machines in my shop. There's less dust and chips flying off that than almost any other machine. So when set up well, it works really well. It happens to be a really good system. So if you're doing a lot of routing, it's a super important piece of the operation. Next thing I want to talk about is the fence. Now, obviously, for almost all routing operations, the fence is absolutely vital. The difference between these two just comes down to the fact that you have really fine micro adjustment on this fence. Now, for a lot of routing operations, that is not going to be a massive concern, but there are plenty of things that I need to do regularly when the fine adjustment makes a huge difference. It allows you to move the fence in such small degrees that you can't even see how far it's moved, but if you want a joint to fit absolutely perfectly, sometimes that's necessary. So the way it works is you've actually got two of these finger dials on both ends of the fence. You can lock the back one off, use the little micro adjustment dial to get the exact location that you need, and then lock the front one off. It's really simple to use, it's really quick, it's a great system, it's pretty foolproof, and I'm glad my table has it. Another really important feature of all router tables is figuring out a way to raise your router body up and down. So on a basic model, you're relying on the lifting mechanism on a plunge router. So with a Triton router and some other routers, you can attach it to this insert plate and you can do some of that lifting through the plate itself, but it's kind of fiddly and you're relying on the mechanism, like I said, on your plunge router. Now, on a more advanced table, what you're actually getting is an independent lifting mechanism. So this one, which is what I use and is what comes with this table, my Triton actually mounts to this plate itself, and then I can use this system through the top of the table to raise and lower that. It's a simple, strong, and accurate way to move your router around and get really precise positions for that router bit itself. You also have the option with this particular router table, rather than using a plunge router like a Triton, you can actually get a round body motor, which you mount into a metal sleeve, and then you are still adjusting that height through the top of the table. Just to know that this more advanced router table with the cast iron top and all those things I've been talking about has a really, really good functional lift regardless of which motor body you decide to use. This deluxe router table package comes with a whole bunch of accessories. Most of these accessories you can purchase individually, and any router table you buy will probably have some variety of these things that will work with it. So, first thing that this particular one comes with is it comes with two horizontal featherboards that sit on the table itself, and then two featherboards that sit on the fence. We've done a whole video specifically on the use of featherboards. They're a really, really handy tool to have. They make work safer and easier, and for certain jobs they're absolutely vital. So, like I said, you can actually purchase these and use them on the basic router table, but in this particular thing, they just all come with it. So, 4 featherboards. This also comes with a flip stop, which locks into the fence itself, and, like the name suggests, acts as a stop that you can run pieces up to for really specific measurements. These are really handy. You can buy them independently, but in this situation they come with the whole package. They flip up out of the way so that when you don't need them, they can stay on the tool and they're not going to get in your way. This particular package also comes with a little guard here, which is to stop chips flying up towards your face, and it also slightly improves extraction. So again, it can be brought up out of the way or lowered down closer to the router bit if you need. So a more advanced router table like this, it's more durable, more accurate, you've got better adjustment of the fence and the height, better dust extraction, all of that. Now, of course, it's going to cost you more. In this case, it's going to cost you more than twice what this basic entry-level MDF table will cost you. But, you know, for me, it's a piece that I use every day in my workshop, and that durability and reliability, repeatability that is all absolutely vital to the work that I do. So, you know, if you want a piece that's going to really last you, look at something like this, all of the bits that come with it. As far as a package goes, it is way more efficient to buy all those pieces together, and they're really important pieces. You can't use a router table like this constantly without good dust extraction and all of the other stuff that we've talked about. So don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. There's plenty more videos, and like I said, we're going to do a whole series just on router lifts, so look out for that coming up too.